Pelosi got a letter today from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. If you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that. You're impeding an investigation.
Yeah, so Nancy Pelosi might be in some pretty big trouble because of this. On her own website, our state and local authorities may arrest federal agents if they break California law. And if they are convicted, the president cannot pardon them.
Every single one of those agents, height, weight, hair color, they wear their vests in a particular way. They're wearing insignias and put together a profile of each of these agents.
And that is Chicago's former mayor talking about putting together a database of federal agents, including their hair color, what they look like, ways to identify them in a database. Yeah, so we have a lot to talk about. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And I'm only one person. I need your help to get the word out there that we literally have politicians threatening to arrest Homeland Security agents and federal agents just because they're doing their job. So please get the word out there. Like the video, subscribe. It helps out a lot.
So Lori Lightfoot, JB Back Ribs Pritzker, they're doxing, they're telling people the whereabouts of ICE agents. Is that legal?
No. And Jesse, first time I've seen the Lori Lightfoot video is just now on your show. She will be getting a letter from us tomorrow to preserve anything that she's done as well to make sure that she's not violating the law. It appears she is. You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Pritzker, same ball game.
Okay, before we get to Nancy Pelosi, and again, I think she's going to be in some pretty big trouble, let's talk about Lori Lightfoot. This is Chicago's former mayor. Now, she recently had an interview where she's just straight up talking about giving away the identity of ICE agents within a database. And of course, we're going to watch the video.
We start the process of unmasking the agents. Even though they're wearing masks, every single one of them has a towel.
You say unmasking, they're going to say you're going to dox them, and that's why threats against them are up.
They are on public property, out in the open. We have an absolute right under our Constitution to be able to document what's happening. Every single one of those agents, height, weight, hair color, they wear their vests in a particular way. They're wearing insignias. Even the masks that they wear, the shoes that they wear, the cars that they're driving. We have a right to compile that information.
Okay, so the question is, we understand you want to have the identity of ICE agents, but why are you going so far to get the height, the weight, the facial features, and then put it on a database? She's saying, no, we're not trying to leak who they are, but this is exactly what it sounds like. You're gathering all of this data on particular ICE agents and putting it in a database. What if this database gets leaked? What if somebody hacks the database? What would you say then? Again, leave your comments down below. I was shocked when I heard this, and of course the Trump administration was equally as shocked, if not super upset.
And put together a profile of each of these agents that's alleged to have committed crime. This is not about doxing them. This is not about putting them in danger, and I'm sure we're going to hear that.
Okay, so hold on. This is why I'm here, to give you guys the full context. Remember, this clip is out there.
Tables will turn someday. These people should recognize that maybe they're not going to get prosecuted today, although we're looking at doing that, but they may get prosecuted after the Trump administration for the things that they did, because the statute of limitations won't have run.
So when the former mayor of Chicago is saying we're just simply creating a database, and then the governor of Illinois is saying we will come after you and we can once your time is done, I mean, what are we supposed to assume this is all about? Now, to Pam Bondi and the Trump administration, there's no assumption. They know what's happening. But before we get to that, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys up to date with this story and others just like it. We cover these topics every single day, and I want to make sure you guys are getting the best information.
All right, so Lori Lightfoot, JB Back Ribs Pritzker, they're doxing, they're telling people the whereabouts of ICE agents. Is that legal?
No. And Jesse, first time I've seen the Lori Lightfoot video was just now on your show. She will be getting a letter from us tomorrow to preserve anything that she's done as well to make sure that she's not violating the law. It appears she is. You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Pritzker, same ball game.
And remember, this is exactly what Pam Bondi is referencing, exactly what we are hearing in this interview. It sounds like to the Trump administration, there is the intent to create this database in order to give away who these agents are, giving out descriptors, enough information to put the agents in harm.
Axing them. This is not about putting them in danger, and I'm sure we're going to hear that. But as residents of this city in the metropolitan area, we have a right to know who's doing what, and supposedly in our name, but we believe that they are committing crimes and it needs to be investigated, and then let a grand jury, let the prosecutor make a determination.
Are you saying you're going to compile this information then and then take legal action, civil action?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to compile the information, and hopefully it's going to compel local law enforcement, the state's attorney, and others to do their jobs and investigate the allegations of serious crimes being committed.
And this is exactly what Nancy Pelosi is also getting in trouble for. And before we get to Nancy Pelosi, I also want to add, we have no idea why the former mayor of Chicago decided to go on television and talk about this data gathering on federal agents. Absolutely no idea. And to the Trump administration, they're also scratching their heads. And that's why they're like, okay, stop everything you're doing. We want to look into your emails and check out what's going on behind the scenes here. Now, the Nancy Pelosi situation is rather interesting, considering our taxpayer money is paying for this website as well. And here's what she had to say. Reports of a planned mass immigration raid in the Bay Area are an appalling abuse of law enforcement power. Broad sweeps that target families and terrorize law-abiding residents betray our nation's values and waste resources that should focus on real threats to public safety. Now, I do have to say this. The Trump administration did warn or threaten that they are sending a bunch of federal agents to San Francisco or the Bay Area. That's not happening anymore. The Trump admin said, we're going to give you one more chance. It is important to note that California law protects communities and prevents federal agents from taking certain actions here that we have witnessed in other states. While the president may enjoy absolute immunity courtesy of his rogue Supreme Court, those who operate under his orders do not. Our state and local authorities may arrest federal agents if they break California law, and if they are convicted, the president cannot pardon them. So again, to the Trump administration, this is an escalation of force. This is a legitimate threat.
And, you know, Pelosi got a letter today from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. So did Brooke Jenkins, that DA in San Francisco. We told them, preserve your emails, preserve everything you have on this topic, because if you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that. You're impeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me, because we will charge them if they are violating the law. We will protect our federal agents. They're out there working nonstop, as you're showing right now during a shutdown. These people are out there working to keep Californians safe, yet you've got Pelosi out there saying to obstruct their investigation. You can't do it, and we're going to investigate her now, as well as that DA.
And here's where things get confusing from Nancy Pelosi. She didn't actually cite a specific situation in which she would question. All she said was a general statement, such as, it is important to note that California law protects communities and prevents federal agents from taking certain actions. What are the certain actions here that we have witnessed in other states? What is she talking about? Because look, if federal agents are walking up to American citizens and clobbering them over the head, of course we would all question that. That's what the House Oversight Committee is there for. But when you give a general statement, we've seen what ICE agents have done, give us something specific, and then she says we can arrest them for the things they've done. We want to know what they have done. And to the Trump administration, they're seeing this also as a threat. These are vague statements, and now Nancy Pelosi is being investigated for these statements.
ICE raids have left our communities angry, terrified, and on edge. No one should have to live in fear of secret police tactics. That's why I wrote California's law banning ICE agents from wearing masks. No matter what happens in Washington, California will always stand for the rule of law. Our immigrant neighbors are under attack, and I will always stand up for them as your representative. Join me, and together we'll fight to stop these attacks on our community.
Now, this state senator, he actually posted on his X page just 20 hours ago, he said, look, if you know anybody who's being detained or if ICE is in the area, call this number for the rapid response team. Directly from the acting U.S. Attorney Bill Escalation, he said, nope, actually call our FBI hotline for people like you if you're going to impede or get in the way of ICE agents. What we are now starting to see is that the Trump administration is directly going after lawmakers who are trying to promote this idea of getting in the way of ICE or federal agents. And by the way, I made a whole video talking about this state senator, how he created the mask policy in California, or the unmasking policy. California police unions were begging, please do not pass this law, because federal agents don't have to follow the law, but we do. And the only people affected by his law, and he's saying, I created this law to take the masks off ICE agents, are the local police force. And guess what? It makes the local police look like they are involved with ICE raids or ICE deportations because they have to take their masks off and the federal agents don't. Just a side note about this state senator. He did create that law, but it only affects the local police due to the superseding of the federal government. Now, just to show you guys, everyone's getting in trouble. Careful, Governor Pritzker, this applies to you too. Federal law, federal authority, federal consequences. Going down the list, California politicians want to arrest federal agents for enforcing federal law. We just sent them a letter. Stand down or face prosecution. No one threatens our agents. No one will stop us from making America great again. Everyone is getting a letter.
Something that we should be really talking about like that?
The thing that we're demonizing is when ICE agents aren't following protocols. They aren't acting like law enforcement should act. They're instead literally racially profiling. We've seen it. All you have to do is go online and look at some of the videos. Just to be clear, because I think many people that are listening maybe haven't seen that before.
You don't think you're painting with a broad brush of all the ICE agents that are doing their job?
No, we're saying that if you're an ICE agent and you do these things, we think you ought to be held accountable, and yet...
And I do want to point out, as somebody who covers ICE agents every single day and policies and politicians, this only seems to be a problem in Chicago the most. Also over in Los Angeles, some parts of California. But Chicago, this seems to be the only place in the United States that stands out where ICE agents are breaking all of these rules. Again, I cover this every single day. And if ICE agents are breaking rules, I will call them out immediately. But it is just interesting that Chicago seems to be the only place where this is happening the most.
No one in Washington, no one above them, no supervisor, no...
Considering right now Memphis is under an entire federal raid. We're talking tons of federal assets, ICE agents, FBI, everyone is there, National Guard. Are you guys hearing anything about Memphis? Nothing at all. I am keeping tabs in Memphis. I have people on the ground in Memphis who are talking about it. You guys aren't hearing anything. It seems like only in Chicago this is like a big thing. And I'm not trying to generalize, but as somebody who covers this, Chicago just keeps popping up with all of these problems.
No inspector general is holding anybody accountable. There literally haven't been any suspensions or firings.
This is not true. We know over in Portland, ICE agents were using a Donald Trump voice on their megaphone to warn the protesters. They don't do that anymore because somebody got in trouble.
Literally grabbing people, tackling them when they're U.S. citizens and have done zero
You've
wrong.
referred to ICE as Kristi Noem's thugs. Would you be willing to do a ride-along with ICE in Chicago to get a better understanding about what they do and what they deal with?
I can see what they do on the streets of Chicago. And
are there any ICE agents that are good? ICE agents that are good?
Of course. The problem is who's holding the bad ones accountable, because the bad ones...
Okay, so leave your comments down below how you feel about this interview. I would be shocked if the governor of Illinois actually does a ride-along with ICE agents. I personally don't think he's going to do it, and he's just straight up saying, well, I can see what they're doing.
But these are warning letters. You send these out to say, preserve documents.
Yes.
You've been warned you could face legal action if this continues?
That's right. They got these letters today in California because they cannot impede a federal investigation. They cannot impede federal officers doing their jobs. They're out there risking their lives every single day and night to keep the people of California safe. Yet these lawmakers are insane. They're truly insane by what they're doing. And Donald Trump is not going to put up with it. We are going to protect our men and women in blue. We're going to protect all of our law enforcement agents, and these politicians aren't going to get away with it anymore.
All right. And
okay, so this is a very big deal. And again, we cover this stuff all the time. We have been uncovering politicians, lawmakers, mayors, former mayors, city council members. We uncover stuff like this all the time on my channel. So I am not surprised that the Trump administration has had enough. I actually do think the Trump administration has seen this all going on. There's no way they don't. But I don't think it's wise for them to go after every single lawmaker for posting something on Instagram. But it looks like to the Trump administration, they have had enough, especially with the data collection, or especially with these rapid response teams. They're done with it. So for politicians who are involved with anything like this, I think your time is coming. I think people might start to get arrested, or at the very least, get a fine. Or again, at the very least, get investigated. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, make sure to please like and subscribe, and please pray for peace. The reason why I make these videos is for people to come together, have a peaceful conversation, and we can move on from there. But again, the number one thing I advocate for on my channel is peace in this country, so pray for peace. Thank you guys so much for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.